Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is change the image size to 3000 by 3000 pixels, and then after that I'm going to go in Filter, Distort, Polar Coordinates, and zoom out to 12.5 and then click OK. And then what I'm going to do is make a copy of that layer, and then I'm going to flip it vertically, and then using a mask I'm going to try and get rid of the line that's visible in the image and merge the two images together. So I'm going to use black to show the image underneath, and then for any mistakes that I made I'm just going to go back in with white. I'm going to turn down the opacity and hardness so that there's no harsh lines between the two and so that it blends in together nicely. So the next thing I'm going to do after merging the two images together, I'm going to click on the layer, and then I'm going to merge down so that it creates one single image. Okay, so previously I opened up a image which is of a starry night sky, and this is going to be our backdrop for our overall image. I'm just going to press Ctrl T and resize my portal image that we created before, and I'm just going to roughly place it where I want it to be. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to press confirm. Okay, so we're going to use the masking effect again, and then using the brush tool, we're just going to use it on the colour black and try and get rid of the lines. But we're going to do this with a low opacity and harshness so that we don't have any, so there's no rough, so there's no clear difference between the two images, because we want it to seamlessly blend in together. Again, any mistakes I make, I'm going to just switch the colours to white, and then I can bring back the image. Okay, so next I'm going to open an adjustment layer, and we're going to go into levels, and I'm just going to slightly tweak the lights and the darks just to add a bit more definition to the image. After I've done that, I'm just going to clip this adjustment layer to the image below, so whatever changes I make, it only applies to that image. Again, I'm going to open another adjustment layer, and I'm going to go into the hue and saturation, and I'm going to slightly decrease the saturation to about -12. Okay, again, I'm going to clip it to the image so it just applies to that certain image. Okay, so previously I opened this image up, and what we're going to do is make a selection of the wooden bridge of this image, and then we're going to cut it out and place it into my picture. And then I'm just going to press Ctrl T and resize it so it fits nicely. And then once I have it to the right size, I'm going to right click and then press Distort, which will allow me to change the image until it is to my liking. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click the background layer. We're going to open up an adjustment layer in solid colour. We're going to take a swatch of the outer blue colour, and then we're going to click OK, and then we're just going to drop the opacity on layer 1. Okay, so now we're going to double click on layer 3, we're going to go on drop shadow, and we're just going to add a bit of a shadow underneath the bridge. So I'm just going to change the angle a little and increase the distance. Once I've done that, I'm going to press OK. And now we're going to add another adjustment layer. So we're going to open up a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and we're going to slightly decrease the saturation of the bridge. Next, we're going to open another adjustment layer, and we're going to go into color balance. We're going to increase the cyan and up the blues a bit. In order to make these adjustment layers, just for the bridge, we're going to clip them to that image, and then we're just going to decrease the opacity a bit. Okay, so we're going to open another layer, and this is going to be for the shading of the bridge. So we're going to go in with black for the brush tool, and we're going to decrease the flow and opacity so it's not too strong. Again, we're going to clip it to the image. And we're going to decrease the opacity a bit so it's not too dark. So once we've done the shadow, we're going to add some light. So we're going to create another layer, and we're going to create a clipping mask again, and we're going to go in with our colour sampler, and we're going to sample that inside colour to create a warm glow on the bridge for the light. So then we're going to change the blending mode to colour dodge and decrease the opacity so it's not too bright. Okay, so now that we've added some shadow and light onto the top of the bridge, we're going to add a new layer in between the layer 3 and the hue and saturation, and we're going to further intensify our drop shadow. And so to do this, we're going to use our brush tool with the colour black and a low opacity and low flow, and we're just going to colour in under the bridge. And this is just going to create a nice shadow underneath. We use the low opacity and low flow so that we don't have like a stark line underneath the bridge, and so it blends in nicely to the image. Okay, so again, I opened up another image, and I'm going to make a selection of the man, and then I'm going to cut him out and place him into my picture. I'm going to press Ctrl T again to resize, and then I'm going to press Shift while I resize. That way the proportions are all going to stay the same. So I'm going to press Confirm, and I'm going to move layer 7 on top of layer 5. Again, I'm just going to resize again, just till my liking. And now we're going to actually create a shadow for the bridge of the man. And so to do this, we are going to make a copy of layer 7. And then pressing layer 7, we're going to right click and go and distort, and then pull this down, and this is going to create our shadow. So I'm just going to line everything up, and then I'm going to press Confirm once I've done that. Okay, so then I'm going to press Ctrl U and then I'm going to drop the saturation down. Oh, sorry, lightness. I'm going to drop it to -100. And then I'm going to go on blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to change the radius to 2.5. Okay, and then I'm just going to drop the opacity. And then this is our shadow done. Okay, so I opened up another image and I'm just going to move it and place it on top of mine. I'm just going to release the clipping mask, which doesn't apply to layer 7, which is of the man, and then pressing Ctrl T, I'm just going to resize the image. This image is going in the center of the portal, and so I want it to fit nicely inside. And then in order to get rid of the straight line edges and to make both of them seamlessly blend together, we're going to use mask. And then taking our brush tool, with a low opacity and low flow and hardness, we're just going to use the colour black and blend the two together. I'm just going to press Ctrl T again and resize the image so it's a bit bigger, and then using the brush tool again, I'm just going to blend the two images together nicely so that there's no harsh lines. Okay, so the last step in this tutorial is that we're going to add some light into the center, and so we're going to open up a new layer. We're going to create a circle, and then we're going to fill that with black. Next, we're going to go on Filter, Render, Lens Flare. I'm going to click the 105mm prime, and we're just going to center the flare. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to change the blending mode to screen. Okay, we're going to press Ctrl D to deselect, and I'm just going to move it. I'm going to press Ctrl T to resize it. I'm also going to drop the opacity a bit. Okay, so once we've done that, I'm going to add in a bit of warmth in the inner circle. And so doing that, I'm going to take our sampling tool. I'm going to sample the inner golden parts, and then taking our brush tool and a very low opacity and flow, we're going to brush the inner circle. I'm also going to drop the opacity down. Okay, so now I have finished my tutorial. Thank you for watching.